Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today is March 20th, 2026. Happy Friday. We are here for the Colorado Forest Health Council's Legislative Committee's meeting, and I am Chair, Larimer County Commissioner Jody Shadid McNally. Welcome you all. Thank you all for being here. We've been meeting, I think this is our third week in a row, I believe, and so very important to have you all here, and I appreciate your time. Let's go ahead and do roll calls so maybe we can start rolling through the agenda. So we got a lot to do today.
Okay, Samantha Albert.
Present. Good to see you all.
Morning, Samantha. Pat Dorsey. Christina Beery. Commissioner Jody Shadid McNally.
Present.
Morning, Commissioner Mark Morgan.
Present.
Good morning, Mark. Julie Stencil.
Present.
Morning, Julie. Commissioner Veronica Medina.
Present.
Morning, Commissioner. And I know Allison Lurch is not able to make it today, so we do have quorum.
Great. Did we have a note from Pat Dorsey? I thought she was going to not be able to make it either. I might be wrong, but maybe we can check on that. Okay. Let's go ahead and get rolling. Does anyone have any adjustments or changes to the minutes or any concerns? If not, I would welcome a motion to approve.
So moved. It's my job.
Second. Your job. Julie seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Okay. So let's move on to positions on we have been not as active this year with those things, but we need to kind of put those forward to the full Forest Health Council. So we have some bills that we need to discuss and very briefly for taking positions on. I will let you all know I did testify as an individual commissioner and for CCAT and CC4CA in support for the renewal of the Colorado Forest Health Council, which was what is it, Courtney? Well, anyway, we'll go through that, but that was one, and it what passed, I think, almost unanimously. So out of committee. So in the Senate in Agriculture and Natural Resources. So Courtney, do you want to should we put them up on the list and go down and take recommend, and we can start quickly moving through these and make recommendations for support or oppose?
Yes, I have the list that Allison shared at a meeting a couple weeks ago, so I can share that again.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want me to go through one at a time or just read all of them?
Let's read through all of them, and then we'll take them one at a time after we read through all of them. So let's hold our questions till the end. Thank you.
Okay. So the first is, yes, the sunset review for the Forest Health Council. I know it passed unanimous through committee. And there's an amendment that it won't continue in perpetuity, but at least for another 7 years. So there's the Forest Health Council, and I don't have the number on me, but I can look that up. Next, we have the State Forest Service G&A Authority Bill, which was actually brought forward by one of the legislative recommendations last year from this committee. It expands G&A use onto all Department of Interior and USDA lands. And I can also get the number for that. So that's sort of the G&A bill. Then we have Senate Bill 26089, which recreates the Wildfire Matters Interim Committee. And then finally, we have House Bill 261310, which is the Wildfire Resiliency Grant Money Bill. And this was introduced by Tammy Story, and it would sort of increasing incrementally remove money from the Wildfire Mitigation Capacity Development Fund, which is the fund that funds co-swap and landscape scale wildfire fuels reduction, and move it into the Division of Fire Prevention and Control's home hardening program. And so that bill has a large impact on DNR. So I certainly, well, I'll say DNR is taking an opposed position. I don't think I can advocate one way or another for that bill. But if you have questions, I'm quite familiar with it, and that one goes to hearing on Monday. And I just will confirm, I think the process here is if the committee wanted to take a stance on any of these bills, we could recommend that at the February, sorry, I haven't had any coffee and I was a little sick yesterday, the April 9th meeting. And the council could take stances on these bills based on this committee's recommendations. Jody, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. And there's one more I wanted to add, but I'll add at the end. So I do have the numbers, Courtney. For the and it was the GNA bill I testified on yesterday. I apologize. And that's 1051, House Bill 26-1051. And then the other, the interim, our Forest Health Council bill is, and we testified on it, House Bill 26-1184. And so, Mr. Morgan, your hand was up.
Just to better understand the one bill, it appears to me it's a shift from funding mechanisms that we have been using to run programs to home hardening almost exclusively. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
And
I'll say it happens slowly over time. The first year it would move 10% of the funding. The second year it would move 30% of the funding. The next year it would move 50, and then 50% of everything remaining.
it appears as though,
Eventually.
it appears as though we're robbing funds that are supposed to prevent some of these fires to put it into home protection. It looks like a shift of resources away from essentially healthy forests to protecting homes to me. And being that we're a healthy forest kind of bunch here, I question that strategy.
Well, go ahead, Mr. Morgan. I'll let you finish, then I will echo your comments.
That's just, I would recommend the negative response for it. There's other ways. Home hardening is individual ownership situation. People need to step up and take responsibility for their homes. We've been tasked with trying to get a healthier forest in Colorado. So my approach to that would be no.
So, and I want to kind of make sure kind of our discussions are really brief today because there's a lot going on. And I want to welcome Pat Dorsey. Thank you for being here. No worries about being late. Mr. Morgan, you're absolutely right. I'm in our board as a commissioners, and I am individually in strong opposed. So is most agencies and commissioners I've been talking to. This is like robbing Peter to pay Paul. Both are important, but even if you do home hardening, you don't have the landscape scale work done, and a mega intense fire would just run through and burn those homes, possibly even with the best defense. So I would say, if you guys don't mind, we're going to try to, unless you all really have a concern, I want to go ahead and recommend we do an oppose on this one. Okay, can I have a motion for that?
I so move.
A second by Commissioner Medina. All right, all those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Okay, so that's 1310. We are in oppose, recommend oppose. It may not, the hearing's on Monday. It was scheduled for last week. It may not get out of committee, but you never know. So let's talk about House Bill 26-1184. This is the one that will, for 7 years, renew the Forest Health Council. I'm assuming this is kind of a yes, but let's go ahead and I'll look for a motion so we can just save time for our priorities. So anybody would like to make that motion to take a support position?
I'd move we take a support position.
Julie, anybody got a second? Samantha, I see, was that your eye rubbing your eye or a second?
Sorry, I had something in my eye, but I can second it as well.
That's awesome. All right, sorry, I'm looking for your hand, so we'll do it. I have some in my eye too. So let's go ahead and there's first and second, and all those in favor? Aye.
I
Awesome. Anybody post? Okay, yay. We're going to cruise through these. So now is the Good Neighbor Authority bill. And as a reminder, that was a bill that came out of this committee as a recommendation, and we took it to Wildfire Interim Matters Committee. And so this is one of our bills. So this is House Bill 261051. And I would assume that we will take, I recommend a support. I'm assuming we would support our own kind of bill and ideas. So, and it was mentioned in the hearing yesterday that Senator Cutter did say how this came through the council and to the interim. So it was very nice that she mentioned us. I would look for a motion for support.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Medina. Pat Dorsey, a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? All right, moving on. House Bill 26089. This is to keep going the Wildfire Interim Matters Committee, and it has a fiscal note. I don't know how much. I think it is to help pay for the process for the staff and some of the work to do that committee, and maybe for one of their field trips or something like that. So, of course, it's great for us to come and present and have those folks representing, Wildfire Matters and Forest Health in the full legislature. I would assume we're going to want to support that committee, especially Senator Cutter and Senator Representative Velasco have been big champions on this. So I would recommend support. Does anyone have concerns with that? I'll look for a motion.
I
Mr. Morgan.
only have one question.
Yep.
I would like some idea what the fiscal note is with this. I mean, I'm all for supporting the concept here. Do we have any idea what the price tag is?
Let me look that up for you and see if we can find it. I don't think it's large. I just wanted to mention that because it was brought up in another
I'm
meeting.
amazed by what
I'll look
people
too.
call.
Courtney, who's gonna find it quicker, you or me? Here's the fiscal note. I think it was I think it might be FTE. It's for an halftime FTE, and it looks like $71,093 to help with the FTE to support to support the staff that help keep on organized and do all that for that committee.
71,000?
Yep. Now that has to go through appropriations and through all the committees, so that might get changed. Just let you know, it might get lowered. So, or might get, I don't think it'll go higher, but it might get lowered. So with appropriations and things. So, but that's what's the fiscal note currently.
It's not nothing. And I mean, you have to look at what you can do with $71,000 somewhere else. I guess me personally, I wouldn't say one way or another. So.
Well, I agree. We've been asking for money for certain projects and things, and it's a lot of money, but these are also the committee that's been supporting and putting forward all of our bills. And so I think that we need to kind of
I'm not saying it's right.
yeah,
or wrong.
no, I know. It makes you pause.
What did
Yeah.
you do with the money? And I'm fine to support it. or I'm fine to take a neutral position here, because I think I would like to do that, because I don't know enough about what it costs to do something like this. It would be stupid of me to make a suggestion. Maybe that's the average everyday price tag for this kind of operation.
Yeah, and that's something we can ask about. We can certainly ask, have Courtney come back maybe for the full, or someone asks about that. Pat, your hand was up. What would you like to add?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm guessing this is an existing FTE. They're just being pretty transparent about what that FTE costs to maintain. I was going to move to support the bill.
That would be great. Thank you. And Mr. Morgan, if you want to, well, there's a second first. Does anybody want to second that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Medina. Mr. Morgan, would you like to state now that you're going to abstain from voting?
I am going to defer to the people here who think that this is a reasonable procedure, and I will support it.
Okay, thank you, sir. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Awesome. Okay, House Bill 1310. Did we already do that one? Okay, we're in pose. And one I just want to mention to you all about, I don't know if we should take a position because it's related, but not completely. But it is about kind of the WUI code bill, the minimum WUI code codes, and it already has been extended. It's already been, this is another bill that's being brought by industry who sell products to build homes, and they would like to delay it some more and also broaden the appeal process for people who sell home building products, realtors, and other folks, so that anyone can appeal to any local government about these codes. So it makes it a little more complex. I'm not so sure we need to take a position, but I do think we should monitor it because it is going to delay that home hardening and folks, building homes that are a little more resistant to wildfire in those high risk areas. So we've already adopted these. Some other counties have as well. I am sensitive to counties that have no building codes, which I was surprised they have no building codes. They're smaller, and this would be hard to implement, but they could always defer to the state minimum code. And they're really, if they're still struggling, there is some support. And some of the things that the proponents of the bill have said that the WUI code board did or did not do. I did attend some of those in person to listen, and I saw all the things that they said did not happen. I saw it happen, so I just wanted to kind of state that. So that bill is up right now, and a lot of discussion over that. So I think we should just monitor that, and that would be House Bill 1334. And I think that's all the ones we have for right now, right, Courtney?
Commissioner, did you say House Bill 1310 or 34?
We already took a pose on 1310, and I'm just asking that maybe we should keep an eye and monitor on House Bill 1334.
34.
And I believe commissioners have some ideas all over the map on that. So, but it's something that is impactful. Okay, so with that, Pat, go ahead. So yes, we're monitoring, so I don't think we need to take, or 1323, no, it's 1334. Which one is 1323? 1310, we took a pose. Is there one you want to?
1323 is the Beaver bill for wildfire resiliency.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that is one that we should, good catch. That one is certainly an important one. Let's talk about that bill real quick. We can recommend, and this one is brought again by Representative Velasco, who was on the Wildfire Interim Committee, and Senator Cutter. And this bill prohibits the taking of beavers on public land for recreational or commercial, for beaver fur and products. So this is, so Parks and Wildlife Commission may adopt rules to implement the prohibition. And if this commission adopts rules, the rules would ensure that the roles of beavers in the wildfire resiliency of public lands is protected, and a violation would, of the prohibition carries certain penalties. And also one of my representatives is also one of the co-sponsors. So, and the fiscal note on that is, because Mr. Morgan, I know this is something we all should know about, and that is for only 0.1 of an FTE for $19,000 to help with the staffing for that. Julie,
I have a question coming from a place of uninformed. Is it currently lawful for someone to take a beaver on public lands?
let's have Pat. Yep, Pat is, Pat, I know you have more in depth about this than I do, but yes, I learned about this because there is some beaver damming and beaver, we're getting beavers back into areas in Rocky Mountain National Park in south of Rocky and north, and it is helping with post-fire flooding and helping getting the wetlands back and helping maybe bring back the equilibrium and the role of beavers that was always there, but they have disappeared from when they were historically there. Pat, I'm sure you have even more information than I do.
Yeah, and I'll just offer that it's a really nuanced conversation. I think it might be good to monitor this one for a while because beavers do create wildfire resiliency. At the same time, they can create conflict, right? And I know the water community has some pretty strong positions about this bill. I think it'd be a good one to watch or remain neutral or even oppose at this point as it's currently written. The other thing I would offer from my perspective is that it's a solution in search of a problem.
We can also take an amend position. So what is
For
your
a monitor,
recommendation?
I'm with Pat. I'm not sure that this is fixing anything.
Okay. Mr. Morgan and then Commissioner Waters.
I'm very much with Pat on this one. I've seen this firsthand. Beaver can do a lot of good. They can be a lot of problems, all kinds of irrigation problems. And I would like to think that we have a pretty confident wildlife department around here, which might be a better way to deal with this. And it'd be more, I very much agree that it's a solution looking for a problem. I think there are ways to, there are already agencies in place that monitor this pretty closely. And so I would be inclined to say no, or to just continue to watch and see what's going to happen here. But I think it could do more harm than good. That would be my approach. Thank you.
Okay. No, thank you, Mr. Morgan and Commissioner Waters.
Thank you. I first have a quick process question. The first one is, what does support versus monitor, like, do we have a lobbyist that works with us that engages in these bills?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Oh, that's the first quick question. Secondly, I think a monitor, I don't know. I do think that there is probably some amendments that can be tossed in there that can clean it up. But the reality is that the wetlands that are created by the natural beaver dams are really critical to the ecosystem and forest health, and they create wetlands and fire protection. So it is not, it is and it isn't a problem. The problem is that when they cause issues, people kill the beavers instead of fixing the problem that they are creating, which is damming up water, which is what they naturally do. I just think that we shouldn't be so hasty, given the fact that beavers are really important members of the ecosystem.
Thank you, Commissioner Waters. And monitor just means we keep an eye on it, and certainly we can discuss this in the full Forest Health Council about some of those amendments and changes. Samantha had asked, as DNR and CPW have a position? Do we know, Courtney, or maybe it's something we should ask? Maybe that can be presented at the full council meeting.
I can check real quick. 13.
I'm okay with monitor. I certainly think it does need some amendments.
This is still going through the process with DNR and the governor's office, but I would have an answer for you by the April 9th meeting on DNR's position.
Okay, so just to keep us moving on, because we have a lot to talk about later today, or for the rest of the hour. So let's go ahead and Mr. Morgan, your hand's up.
Real quick comment, Commissioner Waters. One of the things that I was thinking of to try to address, beaver are, they're fairly smart, and one of the first things they do is they look for an instant beaver dam. And the way they get an instant beaver dam is they plug culverts. And there's an awful lot of damage to county roads, forest roads, and infrastructure that happens that way. And I would just hate to see some kind of a solution that doesn't. I mean, I've seen a lot of extensive damage to county and even state highways and stuff from beaver plugging culverts to get an instant beaver dam. So just, I hope we have wildlife people who would consider that, and just, that's all. It's just something you're not thinking about, and you're a county commissioner, and they can cost you a lot of money.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. And so I'm gonna take Pat's hand raised, and then I'm gonna rush us along so that
Yeah,
we can get.
I
Go
put
ahead.
my hand down, but I typed in the chat. I'm wondering if there's a way to move this to a resolution where we talk about the benefits of beavers in the ecosystem without taking action. I think management flexibility for the wildlife agency is probably the best way to go.
So what I can do is maybe take a monitor, and then we can just maybe ask the full Forest Health Council if we can maybe take a comment about the importance of beavers in the wildfire resiliency landscape, or something, just to not, to take a position on the bill, but maybe, I don't know. We'll talk about that at the full Forest Council. I'll bring those two up for monitor. So here where we're at. The two monitors are House Bill 26-1334, House Bill 26-1323. We only have one opposed, which is House Bill 1310. We have three supports, House Bill 26-089 for the Wildfire Interim Matters Committee. We have a support for the Good Neighbor Authority Bill, which is the bill that came out of this committee, House Bill 26-1051. And that is a support. And then the last one is a support bill for 7 more years of continuation of the Colorado Forest Health Council, House Bill 26-1184. And we all took positions and voted on those. I just wanted review. And anybody have any other bills? If not, then we need to move on to our next item of our legislative priorities.
Mine?
Okay, not seeing any. I'm sorry to rush y'all, but we've got to here's my goal today. Actually, it's an important goal because we have our full council meeting coming up on April 9th, and it's going to be a good one. And Courtney and them have been working extremely hard on this, and we need to vote on. We present these to the full council to get recommendations, and these still have to kind of be vetted through DNR and through the Gov's Omnibus before we kind of have them looked at as the full Forest Health Council. So we need to make a position today, or we're going to have to add another meeting to talk about this further. So this is the last item on our agenda today. Is that correct, Courtney? I think it is. I'm looking for it.
Yes.
Courtney and I spent some time going back through all of our wonderful discussions in our list. And we got some answers and some discussions, and we kind of crafted something on paper for us to look at and react to, so that we can kind of, in the next 29 to 28 minutes, get this done. So she sent these ahead. I want to thank Courtney and Will and I put some time in this, and everyone who worked on this on the side, but I hope that she'll draft this up. And Courtney, maybe we should go ahead and put it on, should we put it on the screen just so everyone's not having to go back and forth? Would that be okay?
Yes.
And then I'm going to read through all of them. And I think that I want you just to kind of take notes or ideas. And then I'm going to go back through and we're going to kind of work on each one, and would be great just to kind of get down at the ones that are definitely a yes, so we can get through this list. So first thing is, which Julie Shapiro and some of them had suggested, but after 1310, moving the money around, all these other things. Courtney, is your hand raised?
Yeah, I would love to also give some background, or like instead of just going into them, like give some context to each of these also before they're read.
Yeah, that's that's when I thought about reading. Maybe I can read and then you and I can both bring context, and then we can have questions all at the end. So I was going to include our context if that
Okay.
would be okay. So how about I read and then you provide context and maybe I'll fill in. So that's kind of what I was starting with Julie Shapiro, and we've always had this discussion. I think this was something similar we did for this year's recommendations, just a continuation of the funding and how important it is. So the first one is to acknowledge the importance of forest health and wildfire mitigation funding, the Colorado Strategic Wildfire Action Plan, the Colorado Restoration and Wildfire Risk Mitigation Grant Program, and the Healthy Forest Vibrant Communities Initiative or program. And then there is a statement that Courtney kind of took some of all of our thoughts and crafted this, and I'm sure she worked on it with the lobbyist Daphne and some other folks. And so I'm hoping you took the time to read that. But this is what we would read and kind of send to the full Forest Council to kind of also share with the governor's office and the general legislature, and read this also to reaffirm with the Wildfire Interim Committee if it continues. And so I don't think it won't, but we never know until they're signed into law. So Courtney, would you like to add some more context and share, because you worked really hard on this?
Yes. This language is very similar to last year. It's almost the same. So I would also welcome edits and changes, but I got feedback last year or when I was sharing this with staff, that last year, just saying that we support these things isn't really a legislative action. So the language did change slightly. It says that we are recommending the appropriate committee of reference draft a letter to the Joint Budget Committee reiterating the importance of statewide funding. So as before, the action was, we think forest health funding is important. Please maintain funding. This year it is, we recommend that the committee draft a letter to JBC, who really, I think, holds a lot of the funding decision-making authority, letting them know. So there's more of an action in the recommendation this year than there was last year. That's the difference, main difference.
And one thing I wanted to add, who would draft the letter, and would the full Forest Health Council or Legislative Committee look at that before it's sent?
I think yes. I imagine that staff, perhaps our director or associate director for forest health and wildfire mitigation, Allison Lurch, would start the letter, but I think it would be something that the whole council would, or at least depending on timing, the legislative committee would be a part of.
Great.
And hopefully the full council.
Commissioner Medina.
Thank you, and I'll make it brief. I don't know if this is the right place to say this, but I want to put it out there before we get too far into the meeting. I don't know if all of you have been made aware, but at Club 20, they talked a lot about the ranger districts closing, a lot of the ranger districts, and how are we going to have healthy forest without our ranger districts and that support the boots on the ground. So I don't know if that can also be an ask in here about ranger districts to continue that funding, but I think we need to, if we could, add them.
So Commissioner Medina, you're talking about the U.S. Forest Service ranger districts? So this is for the state legislative and funding. So I think that we could, if you want at the end, we could make an ask, since we have part of our charter now as recommending for federal policy. I think that would be another ask we could do for making a letter to the federal government to keep that ask, because this is about the state funding and the state. And so I think we want to keep those two separate. for now, but I think you make a good point. And I think if we could add that at the end, we can certainly make a recommendation, since we do have that in our charter now, to get involved with federal funding issues. So certainly that is something, if we can discuss that at the end, would you be okay with that? I think you make a really good point. I can't see your face, so I have to have you say yes or no.
Thank you.
So-
Yes, yes.
Okay, I just want to keep them separate because this is the state funding. Mr. Morgan, and again, I'm just trying to, I'm pushing you all, but we've got to get these done today. Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
Yes, throughout my career, it's been common practice. The Forest Service has consistently consolidated forests and ranger districts. And I guess the only question I would have would be, are the ranger districts, are their actual actions in support and their personnel being reduced? How many is that, and how many is it just a consolidation thing for efficiency? Because like up here on this forest up here, at one point we had 7 ranger districts, and now we're down to 2, but they still cover the same ground and do the same things. And I understand the more local a district is, oftentimes the more responsive it is to situations, but are we going to get the same product with a different label on it, or are we going to get a different product? And I don't really know the answer, so just a question to ask for you.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Julie Stencil.
I just want to thank Commissioner Medina for raising this issue. I wasn't aware of it, and I think any closing of ranger districts is going to have an impact on something further down the 2027 list that's near and dear to my heart, which is how do we streamline and make more efficient the need to amend or obtain a permit to do work, particularly utility work on state-owned or controlled lands. That's going to be a lot harder if we don't have people in the offices, in the chairs, working the process. So I appreciate her raising that.
Yeah,
So I think that would be great to have at the end. So I want to save some time for that. So I'm pushing y'all. So unless we have some strong things to all these comments, I'm going to go ahead and move on this so we can kind of move on and not have to come back. So I want to just have, can we go ahead and have any concerns with the wording, because it was vetted and Courtney has worked really hard and added that extra addition of the letter. So I would look, I'm pushing you, I know, but we've got to go. We've got a lot to do. So is anyone, can I get a motion to approve this as the first 2027 priority? Number 1.
I'll move to approve this as our first priority.
Is there a second? Can you raise your hand or say second, please?
second.
Thank you. So first and second, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Okay. Sorry to push you, but we have some things to do, and I think Commissioner Medina brought some good points, and I'd love to craft at least a short statement at the end for that. Number 2, adopt the 2025 vision for forest health in Colorado. As we know, we have this wonderful 30-year vision, and we're going to ask, here's the ask, that the council recommends the Colorado legislature adopts the 30-year vision as the state's 2025 or 2055 vision for forest health, and recommends that the legislature pass a resolution recognizing the Forest Health Council's new vision, and that the statement of full implementation of the 30-year vision will require the commitment of resources for public, private, and other sources as appropriate. So saying that we have this plan, we need to put some resources and funding and energy behind it, no matter where it comes from. And that would kind of also elevate work and the need for some of this funding and work. So I think that's important. That was one of our charges, was to pass this vision and create it, but it's not good sitting on a shelf. So Mr. Morgan, your hand is raised.
Yes, I think this thing has been hammered and adjusted and worked over. I think it's an excellent product. I would move that we get it done.
You moved to number 2 as the second priority.
Yes.
All right, and a second.
Second.
Thank you. First and second. Anybody else have any heartburn about this? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Courtney, your hand is raised.
My quick just edit here, both the red sentence and the blue sentence will not exist together. The red sentence was the original. I recommend it change to blue, and I was just getting some approval from our legislative director. The official recommendation, or the thing where the lever, is a resolution. So I'm hoping that we delete the word adoption and we move forward with the word resolution. So there won't be both of those sentences. Just so you
Okay,
know.
so we'll go back here. Mr. Morgan, would you, are you moved for this? Would you be open to the amendment to
Exactly.
change that to only the blue?
Yes.
Commissioner Medina, would you also be okay with that amendment?
Yes, I amend my second to that.
Thank you. Anyone change their vote? Okay, unanimously passes. Again, my apologies. We worked really hard. We're so close. Number 3, support workforce development. We still have some questions and interesting things about that. And so Courtney's going to fill that in, that gap. Go ahead, Courtney. Courtney?
You're muted, Courtney.
Oh, yes, thank you. Okay. We know this committee is really passionate about Senate Bill 5 and the work that it's been doing. And James filled me in. He's on some important pieces. He said the first part is the educational materials for high schoolers. That's rolled out. Like that's being successful. He said the second part is the funding for internships. And he said that right now they are getting continuous appropriations for funding for internships. He says it's written in the long bill as continuously appropriated, and he's a little bit worried that if we call it out, apparently the legislature has been very critical of continuous appropriations. When it sees continuous appropriations, it's saying, we actually don't have a lot of money for that. Maybe we should change this to an annual appropriation. So he's worried that if we bring this up while it's working very, very well, that people might take a look at it and say, we actually shouldn't have that be a continuous appropriation. So his recommendation would be to have more of a general statement similar to the first that says something like, the council sees workforce development as one of its very top priorities. It recommends that the Joint Budget Committee continue to prioritize workforce development initiatives similar to the very successful Senate Bill 23005. It could even name, like, we think these are very important parts of workforce development. I haven't had time to draft that yet, but that was James's recommendation, to have more of a general, we support workforce development. We see Senate Bill 5 as very successful in the past, but not to dig down into the details of the pieces of it.
And I think that's a wise choice because there's some really interesting things happening in the legislature. And I think the commissioners and a lot of us know, they even tried to pass the bill the other day with $1 million price tag, fiscal note, which would have jeopardized funding from the federal government for all the projects and the grants. So I just want to say, I think we can go ahead and support this placeholder because I think we all agree workforce and continue to expand that is important. And if Courtney has time before April 9th to draft that short, brief statement before then, and then send it to us in an email, and unless you have heartburn on it and respond back to Courtney with that heartburn or concerns, I would like to have a motion that we approve the support workforce development and the statement coming forth from Courtney, unless further amended, to bring forward to the April 9th meeting. Is there anyone who want to make that motion? Mr. Morgan.
I would be fine to make that motion Anything we can do to move this?
Great. Is there a second?
Second,
Thank you, Commissioner Medina. All those in favor? Aye.
aye.
Awesome. Anybody opposed? Okay, here's one that's gotta take a little more time and it doesn't have to be completely fleshed out, right? And so we have 13 minutes to do two things. So I want to we talked about this, and this doesn't have to be, again, completely fleshed out. And I see your hand, Mr. Morgan, but Courtney and I are going to talk first a little bit. There is a little caveats from county commissioners. I think we'd want a few very narrow scope and make sure when it's extremely hot, and I haven't got that data. I have been talking with some transportation commissioners and other transportation experts that there would have to be, if we increase the weight limit, and certainly on some of these roads, some of them are dirt roads and some are gravel and some are the highways. So we have to kind of get through some of the nuance, but that's all in crafting the bill. And we would want that to be going through the stakeholder process. But one thing to be really careful, if we're going to have these high heats like we've had recently, the certain weight loads on certain kinds of asphalt and roads could disintegrate or wear and tear, bring deterioration of those roads quicker, and that would put costs onto local governments. So I just wanted to say, I think this is still a really good possible thing to go forward, but we want to make sure that we have some caveats, that we want to be sure that it's stakeholdered across local governments and other transportation experts. And I wanted to say, this is one of those really rare opportunities that we could see where we're trying to chip away at these transportation costs and this big barrier that we've had, and a chance to work together with some related and overlapping sectors. And I think this is kind of an interesting, and just like Senate Bill 5, this might be something that really could, with more stakeholdering and through the full Forest Health Council, really emerge as something innovative and different. So, and again, we're really tight on time if we want to do with Commissioner Medina's suggestion. Mr. Morgan.
Yes, I was in a meeting yesterday with quite a few members of industry in the state, and this is very much on their radar, and we strategized about this. And they would like to be helpful in crafting this. And they had a lot of suggestions, some of which they've dealt with in the past. For context, state of Colorado right now on secondary roads, you can have a heavy haul permit up to 97,000 pounds. And that's already been gone through by the state and all the counties. And Forest Service in Colorado does not recognize that. So now we have a situation where the state's already dealt with this, and you can buy a heavy haul permit up to 97,000 pounds, but the Forest Service limits it off at 85,000. And so that would just be a policy change on their part, and that would be recommended. And this particular group, a bunch of us, would like to know a time frame. They would like to respond and provide some materials, and they would like to know a time frame on how soon we need this.
So let's back up just a little. And I'm trying to push this through. That's starting to get into the heavy details of the bill, and we're not going to be part of the drafting. It's just a recommendation and kind of that high level. If you have some of those details, you could put in an email today, maybe type all those thoughts and send those to Courtney so we can bring those up, because that would be part of that stakeholdering as the bill is crafted and kind of bringing that together. And I think that is a good point that maybe we hadn't heard before. So I think that if that's something that we can talk about, and I think this would be a great discussion for the full Forest Health Council as well. So, but today we're just trying to say this is a recommendation going in this direction. And so it doesn't, like I said, didn't have to be completely formulated. And I think bringing up that we have the timber industry saying they want to get behind us and talk about this other little caveat, I think is really important. And I appreciate you bringing that up and having advocating and bringing more support from other folks to talk about this.
Very quickly, the one thing that they asked was, what would you like for a time frame on providing this? Because they are willing to respond in the, if you need information for a set timepiece, that's the one thing they want to know.
Well, if they could get some of those recommendations so I can, or concerns that I can bring up before April 9th, so I have it before April 9th so I can read, we can bring up that feedback from at the Full Forest Health Council, that would be the time frame I would think. Pat Dorsey.
Yeah, I think this is needed and I think it would help. I think it's relatively easy to accomplish. In the second paragraph, I would recommend adding some language about, in addition to propose coordinating the Forest Health Associated partners with the timber industry, that we also coordinate with the Department of Transportation and the counties.
And yes, I think that's a great recommendation. Courtney, are you able to add that? Would you make a motion for that?
I move to move recommendation number 4 to the entire Forest Council as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is anyone opposed? Okay, last one, and then we'll talk about Commissioner Medina suggestion. So Commissioner, the last one is remember we talked, this was a low hanging fruit. And the reason I think this might be good is for those rural communities or across the whole state, biochar is starting to have the end product users starting to be pretty tight and they're not expanding, but there still could be some local uses for like water providers or maybe agricultural locally. So I think that still is maybe a good idea to at least have this as an option and to lower the barriers for those who might try to do this. And so this is just to update the regulation for biochar production with the flame cap kilns. And I hope you read this, and this is just try to recommend that some changes in the regulation. So we had talked a lot about this. I didn't hear any opposition from before. This would be one of those low hanging fruits. And so the governor's office, we know, has got some things they might be looking at as well. But again, this is an idea just to bring forward, and we can flesh it out a little bit more at the Full Forest Health Council. But I hope that you had read these beforehand. So anybody have any strong concerns against this? All right, I'll take a motion to put this as number 5.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I can second.
Thank you, Samantha. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, we did it. So Courtney's going to come back. Well done. Everybody give yourself a high five. Let's high five, man. That was good. We really wrestled with all of these. So I want to thank you all. And there's some more things like Julie's in the parking lot. We're keeping all those parking lot things because Julie had brought up some really important things needed for the industry. Those are still all there, but we need to kind of work on those, I think, and see what we need to do. So the parking lot ideas from the last 2 years are still staying in that list. So we don't have to recreate that list. We still have lots of things. So in the last 3 minutes, this is my suggestion, that Commissioner Medina brought this up. I wasn't aware they're closing all of them. Since we have in our charter to make recommendations in the federal arena, how about Commissioner Medina, Courtney, and I work on some language to send all to you to talk a short, brief letter about our concerns of the closure and recommend not to reverse that decision or to support the districts. We have some information from our previous meetings where we know they put out that, remember those 2 little U.S. Forest Service seasonal put out what they say 60 fires, undetected fires in the wilderness. We can pull some data like that, and maybe we can craft a letter in the next 2.5 weeks, I think it is, to and before the 9th, so because it's got to go in the packet, so it's got to be done quicker. And anyone can throw ideas. If you have ideas what needs to go in the letter, send it. And sorry, Courtney, if I hope this is okay, send it to Courtney, and then we're going to try to draft a letter and finalize and fine tune this list, and the other number 3, and send that all back out to you before the packet goes out. So and it won't be really a vote, because we can vote on it in the full Forest Health Council. But this would just be to show you all know what's going forward. So I'm looking for kind of just approval to work on that letter with that direction. And Pat, your hand is up.
Yeah, you certainly have my approval. The other thing I think that might be valuable is I think one of the senators, and I can't remember if it's Hickenlooper or Bennett, is putting forward some legislation to maintain funding for Colorado wildfire mitigation, that kind of thing. It might be worth looking into what's in that letter, or what's in their bill, excuse me.
Okay. How about we add to that then that we recommend following Senator Bennett's bill. I'm pretty sure it's Bennett, about that, and monitoring and seeing where we can, since we don't know a lot about that, if you can share that, Pat, maybe we just add that that's a bill we want to monitor or follow as a council to see if we can do that. So those are the two. Let's do them separately because we're almost out of time. So first, I would like to have that motion for drafting this letter from the full Forest Health Council, this recommendation about concerns of the closure of the districts and the importance.
So moved.
Second,
Is there a second?
second.
Okay, second from Julie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And Julie, your hand's up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, in addition to that letter, it may be helpful for us to share that letter with the interim wildfire committee, see if they know about these closures. Maybe they're unaware as well. So I think just getting the word out would be helpful.
And of course, with the full Forest Health Council, I think would have to go through the, all of that. That's a great suggestion. All right. So the second thing, and Courtney, let us know. Oh, Senate, I knew it was Bennett. Yay. So the next motion, it would be to monitor and look at how we support or what position to take on this federal bill. How's that? To recommend the Forest Health Council monitor and consider a position or action with this. And then the full Forest Health Council can decide. Since we won't see them for a while, we want to kind of have that opening so we can respond. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Pat Dorsey seconds.
All right,
This
great.
is monitoring, correct? Not taking a position.
Monitoring, but opening that if the full Forest Health Council, after reading all this, wants to take a position, I want to be able to have that opening
Okay.
to say, you know what I'm saying? I want to say, would we just say monitor when we might want to ask people, and it could be vetted before the meeting. And so I just want to leave that open. And Julie, your hand's still up. I'm
Oh.
sorry.
Nope.
Okay.
Shouldn't be. Sorry.
Who's the other hand now? Courtney.
It's Courtney. I'm just thinking through process and I'm trying to take furious notes. I think I see two things. One is this letter that's going to be written in support of the ranger districts. And then the other, it sounds like, is there's a federal bill that has to do with like wildfire funding. So we're going to be, the committee is supported to draft the letter.
Right.
And
And
the
I'm
committee is
asking right
supporting
now
that-
if we can bring this up at the Forest Health Council and suggest a monitor with an open to possibly support or whatever.
And I'll try to find someone to come to speak to that bill specifically, whether it's someone from like Bennett's office or if it's our federal policy director or someone like that.
Great. All right. Mr. Morgan, we're out of time. So Mr. Morgan, real quick, because I'd like to, well, can we
They
take a
have,
vote on?
They have, in talking with the Forest Service at the annual meetings for the Timber Industry Association and stuff lately, basically right now, the region, their funding is coming down. Fire is pretty much untouched, and the fire positions are pretty much untouched. They may have a different command structure, but there's no cuts there, and the cuts are running about 30% in the non-fire positions as it's coming down right now. That's what we're hearing directly from the Forest Service in this region. So just for your information.
Well, that's why I want to say monitor and for this, and also with both letters, as we get more information, we want to be able to have that option, whether it's just forward or just bring up. So Pat, we're out of time. So real quick, because we have this vote on the floor.
Yeah, I just typed in the chat. It's not a bill that Bennett is putting forward. It's just a letter to prioritize Colorado, and it went to the Forest Service. So everybody take a look at the link I pasted in the chat.
Okay, so can we amend the motion to looking at the letter and seeing we should monitor or support the letter? So how's that?
So moved, I amend.
Is there the second? Do you also
I'll second.
support that amendment? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. We covered a lot. We're out of time. I'm Courtney and I are going to help, along with Commissioner Medina, help kind of clean this all up. And I appreciate Courtney's furious note taking. We will go back and then we're going to get this out to you before. Courtney, what would you like to add? You're on mute.
So fast. We also discussed an administrative recommendation. Samantha was talking about OEdit, kind of putting together this one pager with different opportunities. Are people still comfortable with us, Samantha and I, working to put that together? And it doesn't actually probably have to be done by April 9th. That could probably be done at another time.
But we
If we
can
don't
say
have
we're
time.
putting it together for the meeting. So I
Okay,
need a motion to approve that OEdit letter and creation of that document.
So moved.
There's first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Yay! Okay. We got a lot done.
Good
Think
job.
about all the conversations. Well done. I'll need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Although, anybody opposed? We are adjourned. Happy
Thank you.
Friday. Have a wonderful
you all.
weekend. Give yourselves a hand. We
Thanks
got some
all.
things done. Well done. All
Have a
right.
great weekend.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care.